Hi there, and welcome to episode 53 of Brattleboro's Town Matters podcast. This podcast is a brief update on what is happening in Brattleboro town government. I'm your host, Town Manager John Potter, broadcasting from the BCTV studios in Brattleboro, Vermont. Today, I will give you an update on the Select Board's meetings that were held on Wednesday, September 24th and Wednesday, October 1st. Then I'll go over the agenda for their next regular meeting that will be held on Thursday, October 16th at 6:15 p.m. in the Select Board meeting room at 230 Main Street. Also, I'll go over a few announcements before wrapping things up. So the Select Board's meeting on Wednesday, September 24th, the key actions that night were that they approved a Detman Drive Bridge grant application, advanced charter petition process for a March vote, postponed a Finance Committee report, and made 2 committee appointments. Before I dive into those, I'd give you a summary of the consent agenda with 12 items approved that night. They approved a $24,500 contract for engineering services for the Bridge Street Enhancement project, which will spiff up the Bridge Street area with better pedestrian access, and that is going to be paid by a Downtown Transportation Fund grant. They also ratified a decision to have A.L. Tyler Electric repair the HVAC system at the DPW facility on Fairgrounds Road in the amount of $15,350. They awarded the FY26 winter sand bid to Zaluzny Excavating for $21.40 per cubic yard delivered and $15 per yard picked up. They authorized the Planning Department to apply for a direct allocation of $750,000 in the Capital Bill State Direct Grant program to support the development of water and wastewater infrastructure related to the Winston Prouty housing project. They appointed Kevin Kennedy as the public sector representative to the Southeastern Vermont Community Action Board. They recommended the appointment of Fire Chief Jay Simons to Town Forest Fire Warden through June of 2029. They authorized a $13,690.75 a month contract with CCI Managed Services for IT technical support and addressing security gaps. They authorized participation in a national opioid settlement agreement for secondary manufacturers. They accepted a certified charter petition related to an open town meeting. They approved a first-class liquor license for North Chair Brewing LLC at 39 Frost Street, and a second-class liquor license, tobacco license, and tobacco substitute endorsement permit for Change Easy Food Mart at 228 Canal Street. They approved renewal of an outside consumption permit for the Heart Rose Club on Green Street. And yes, that was it. 12 items that they approved on consent by a vote of 5-0. Under regular business on Wednesday, September 24th, the board held a public hearing and unanimously approved applying for a Vermont Community Development Program Disaster Recovery Implementation Grant, that's a mouthful, of $1,833,475 for the design and construction of a replacement bridge on Detman Drive. The resolution designated Brian Bannon as a contact person and me, John Potter, as the authorizing official, and that was approved by a vote of 5-0. Next, the board heard a first reading on parking ordinance revisions, and Assistant Police Chief Jeremy Evans and Highway Superintendent Darren Pacheco presented proposed revisions to the parking ordinance, which didn't include any fee changes. Those were already made previously when they approved the parking budget. Discussion centered on improving signage, especially around lower cost parking options in the Brattleboro Transportation Center, but also enhancing kiosk access and improving public outreach and the parking app. No action was required, and they will be considering a second reading in an upcoming meeting. The next item was the town charter process and warning plan, and following extensive discussion on the timing for a vote regarding representative town meeting and possible charter amendments that were received through 2 petitions, the board voted 3-2 to direct staff to implement the charter petition warning plan as presented, favoring a March 3rd, 2026 town meeting ballot rather than a November vote on those issues. The Finance Committee update item was tabled to a later meeting at the committee's request by a vote of 5-0. And finally, on September 24th, the board unanimously appointed Amy Thornton Ballin to the Arts Committee and Tim Kipp as fence viewer. Thank you, Tim and Amy, for serving on those committees. The board also held a brief online meeting on Wednesday, October 1st, to take up an item that had been pulled from consent on the 24th, and that was the local emergency management plan. And the select board unanimously approved the updated local emergency management plan on October 1st, following a presentation by Fire Chief Jay Simons, who outlined the plan's coordination with community partners and clarified the board's role in communications and unified command during emergencies. The next select board meeting is a regular meeting scheduled for Thursday, October 16th at 6:15 p.m. in the select board meeting room at 230 Main Street and on Zoom. And this is what will be on the agenda for that meeting. There will be an executive session before the regular meeting, but then the board will go through their usual approval of minutes, remarks and comments, and public participation before tackling a 7-item consent agenda. And on that consent agenda are potential approval of a $48,300 change order for the William Street retaining wall project, which is happening right now. They'll be considering use of the Global Warming Solutions Fund for some improved lighting on Elliott Street. They will be considering approval of the Horribles Parade permit and also a No King's Day parade permit. They'll be considering approval of a $2.49.5 per gallon bid for fuel oil this year. They'll be considering approval of a third-class liquor license renewal for Echo's Restaurant and Lounge, and they'll be considering approval of a second-class liquor and first-class commercial caterer's license for Hool's Wine on Putney Road. Under regular business on October 16th, the board will hear a presentation from event coordinator Melanie Kahn on the Brattleboro Festival of Miniatures for the month of December in Brattleboro. Next, the Human Services Committee will come and give an update on their work. Then there will be a request by Sursasimo Industries for turning Bittersweet Lane from a private road into a public road, and so the board will consider that request. Next, Bruce Whitney from the Wyndham and Windsor Housing Trust will attend the meeting and make a presentation about a scattered site grant the trust looks to have an application submitted for. Then planning staff will be giving an update on the Black Mountain Road discontinuance project and asking the board to accept a $44,176 bid to do some planning for that project. Next will be the second reading of the parking ordinance revisions, and DPW staff and police staff will be present to answer any further questions or discuss any further changes that the board might want to make to the parking ordinance before hopefully approving those updates. The final 2 items, there will be a update on the idea of a regional assessment district from the assessor's office staff, and finally a monthly FY26 budget update for the month of August, and that will round out October 16th. So a few announcements. The Human Services Review Committee is seeking applications from organizations that address needs in our community. Applications are due on Wednesday, October 22nd. You can find the application along with instructions and information about the committee's process and procedures by visiting the town website, brattleboro.gov. If you would like regular updates about the paving project happening in and around Brattleboro, please visit the town's website, brattleboro.gov, or follow us on social media to view the latest information. The website also provides a link to join the Vermont Agency of Transportation's email list if you wish to receive updates directly in your inbox. The Rec and Parks Department and the Downtown Brattleboro Alliance will once again be hosting Brattle Boo and the Horribles Parade on Halloween night, Friday, October 31st. Kids can trick-or-treat from 5 to 7 p.m. at participating shops in the downtown and also at a number of restaurants, I believe. Just look for the pumpkin decal. A trunk-or-treat event will also be happening behind the Gibson Aiken Center during that time. Those who want to join the Horribles Parade should meet at the Brattleboro Co-op parking lot by 6 p.m. The parade will begin at 6 sharp and will go up Main Street to the Gibson-Aiken Center. And finally, despite getting some rain recently, a burn ban is still in effect in Brattleboro. All outdoor burning is prohibited, including campfires and brush piles. If you see smoke or if you see signs of fire, please call 911 immediately. Well, that's a recap of what's happening in town government in Brattleboro. Please reach out to me at the town manager's office or at townmanager@brattleboro.gov if you have any suggestions for what you'd like to hear on this podcast, or if you want to discuss anything in general further. So there's lots of additional information too on the town website, brattleboro.gov, about what's discussed at the select board meetings. So please check in there for agendas, reports, and backup materials if you want to dive further into the information I provided here. Thanks for listening, and check in again soon.